intern coordinators along with Mark Anderson. And we're so excited to kind of kick it off with this and get you excited and motivated for next year and just a little preview of what's to come. As in, Mark said this before, but there's some slideshow links in the chat. And if you go there, you can follow along. There's some links that you'll want to press on the slideshow as we go. So I would really recommend following along with those. So if you engage, Mark and I say this a ton throughout the class, what you put into this class is what you're going to get out. So if you engage in this class, you're going to be so prepared, way more than other peers who are not taking this class for college and career. You're going to enhance your professionalism and self-confidence, and you'll really know how to network more than most people do, even most adults, I will say. And then I'm just going to summarize this, but this is awesome. This is funny because we actually just had this student from a graduate of senior intern was a couple years ago, and they got an internship with Seagate Engineering, which is amazing. And we actually just had a student from this year's program also get another internship with Seagate. So they're not even graduated high school, and they have an internship with Seagate. And what's extra special about this is Mark and I both work for the business department at Eden Prairie High School, but this senior internship isn't just for business, it's for everyone, all different kinds of industries. I just talked about Seagate and engineering, yes, for business and finance and all those things too, but also we have a lot of medical students. We had some nutritionists. We have a wide variety of student interests. And I always say this student's great or this class is great if you know what you're doing or what you want to do in the future, but it's even better if you don't know what you're going to do with your future. We have a lot of volunteers and a lot of people come in, and we'll tell you more about that in a little bit, but you'll talk to them and you'll say, yep, I like that, or no, I don't really like that. So you can talk. We'll see that more. But the student said, without the senior intern program, there's no way I would be meeting with industry professionals, getting an internship, or even have any idea of what I want to do with my life. Mark and I really try to immerse ourselves with HR professionals and just businesses around the state and throughout the nation. And we found out that companies are hiring 6% less of that entry level position. So when you all are graduating, they're looking for who has the most experience. So no longer are there days of you have one internship junior year of college and you get the job, no issues, right? It's getting more and more competitive because they're hiring 6% less. So with this class, we want to give you more exposure, more opportunity, more things to put on your resume so you can have that job that you want. And you're starting now in high school.
That's great. Thank you, Rachel. Well, the goal for this Zoom meeting is to cover two main things. We're going to give you an overview of what the program is, and then we're also going to provide you a head start on some of the possible internship or different opportunities to earn intern hours. One of the goals that we have before you leave is not only to learn more about the senior intern program as a whole, but also to figure out if it really is the right thing for you. I think both Ms. Hari and I would agree that in the senior intern program, we are very passionate about it. Rachel was a former student in the senior intern program when she was at Eden Prairie High School. I've taught it for a couple years now. I've had an internship program in the past. I've admired this program. This is my 21st year at Eden Prairie High School, and I've admired this program for all the years that I've been here. And one of that second slide that Rachel had talked about, it said if you engage the program, well, that's exactly it. If you engage with this, you're going to have a phenomenal experience. My youngest son actually went through this program a handful of, well, 3-4 years ago, and it was one of those big changing moments for him. Not only did he help kind of figure out a little bit more of what he wanted to do, he didn't figure everything out, obviously. They're still 17 and 18 years old, but he was able to figure out a little bit more about the industries. But I think for more so, figure out more about himself and, how do you become more self-confident? How do you do the networking? And it's amazing how when we have conversations these days, how he's actually talking about and bringing up different things he did 3-4 years ago and how he's doing them now and how he just feels more comfortable. So Again, we're going to give a program overview. We're going to talk about give you a head start on applying for certain kind of things. And at the very end, the second to last slide, there is an exit ticket. And students, the exit ticket is for you. And you don't have to do it before you leave tonight, but you need to we'd like you to do it the next day or so. What it is, it's a way for us to gather some more information from you, and also just a way for us to take attendance. All right. So, and also, I'm going to throw this out here as well. That in the chat, if as we talk about things, if something comes up, what we'd like to do is get to the presentation without having. We're not going to answer questions while the presentation goes on, but we want you to put, if a question comes up at the time, put it in the chat. And then once we're done, we'll go back in and we'll kind of start from the beginning, and we'll go through and see if we can't hit some of those questions as we do it. So either jot a question down at the side and then add a question later, or just do it right now. And for those of you who are joining in late, in a few minutes after the next few slides, I will share the link for this back in the chat again if you can't see that in there. All right, so now you've been staring at this screen. The senior intern program requires 4 credits, and so how it works is the senior seminar part, which is the classroom part, is excuse me, is in semester 1, or terms 1 and 2, and you can see it's either during period 1 or period 2. And so that's the seminar piece. And then the intern credit is actually comes the second semester. The second semester during periods 3 or 4. Now, we're going to talk, either Rachel or myself, we'll talk a little bit more about what that intern credit looks like a little bit later on in the presentation. We'll give you some more details about that. But I would say 95% of you will have your intern credit during the second semester. There may be the few people that, because it doesn't work in your schedule to have it be second semester, sometimes it's in the first semester, and we'll help you work with that if we need to. Excuse me. All right, this is an overview of the curriculum, right? So we can go through, and I'm not gonna, animate it in coming in every single one. You can kind of take a quick peruse through it. This is the main stuff that we do for the first semester, right? So these are the main teachings. One of the biggest pieces is the networking and really professionalism, right? So the professionalism, folks, is this. What I really want you to see is we're not just talking about professionalism to be a CEO or to be an accountant. We're talking about just how to act like a professional. Every single job, every single industry really needs, or you should need to understand how to act like a professional, a young professional, regardless of what kind of career or industry that you're going into. You have to understand how to communicate with people, how to network. And so we teach you different things about the phone etiquette, and we do a lot of information interviews, how to do those, how to research companies. So this is the first semester, either again, periods 1 or 2. And also during that first semester, this is really a very experiential class. And so you can see there's a list that by the time the end of the first semester comes, you will have the students will, I do believe, have completed 5 informational interviews or job shadows. We are going to provide 2 of those first opportunities, and the students will find 3 more opportunities on their own. But again, we're going to teach some things about networking. We have some career site visits. We have a networking breakfast, which I think is the picture that you see here. There's a lot of different things that when we have experiences, we include a networking piece, because we want the students to understand, how do I act professional? How do I carry on a conversation without looking at my phone? How do I have that good eye contact? How do I ask some really good questions? And it's really the experiential part of this, which really drives a lot of students to what, and really where they walk away with some pretty cool bits of information. And as we look at, oh, I'm sorry, Rachel, this is yours. Sorry, I was gonna step on your toes. All right, Rachel may have had a chance.
I'm
Oh,
muted.
are you
Here we
there?
go.
Okay.
So what this is, so Mark talked about the senior seminar part, which is quarters 1 and 2, and now we're going on to the senior intern part, which is quarters 3 and 4. So the in-class portion, the seminar part, that's pretty much, we're building the blocks for your students and the students to learn how to network, learn how to talk to professionals, their resume, all those things that Mark talked about. Okay, now you learn those things. Now what? Now we pretty much send you out and you use those things, right? This is real life things that we do, and it's a placeholder in your schedules to complete your intern hours. You need to complete 60 hours by mid-May. This year, our interns had it May 15th. I would say 95% are done, which is amazing. Um, and they are still completing hours. We had a lot of students go far over, which is also incredible. And 60 hours, you guys know about it now, and we'll tell you about a couple ways that you guys can get more hours. Let's see the next slide.
And Rachel, I'm just going to say one more thing about this. I'm just going to bring up a question that someone had last night. That one of the comments that someone made as well, 60 hours seems like a lot. And I'm going to put it into perspective for those people that are on the presentation tonight. If you think about 60 hours over a year, or let's just talk about September. Let's just say from September to May, that's like 8 months. You have 60 hours to complete in 8 months. Now, 60 hours, completing 60 hours in a 2 month time frame, if you don't do anything until April, then that gets to be really hard. But if you consider you have really from September or even including this summer, because we're going to talk about some summer opportunities for you as well, that 60 hours doesn't seem quite as daunting, but it is really daunting if you do keep putting it off and putting it off and putting it off.
Yes, exactly. So this is a sample schedule. Like I said, first and second quarter, first and second term, you have the senior seminar, first or second hour. This one's first hour. Then you have intern, term 3 and 4. We always have, well, not always, but usually have intern turns hour 3 and 4, just because it's easier for the students to go out to businesses, and it's a better time for businesses to work with students. And I use business as a loose term, as I would say, in a hospital is considered a business, an engineering business, overall business term. All right, here's another one. And then one more is the one if your student is, or if you are a student in music. This is how it would be all year, and that with the second half of that to skinny pretty much. And you would use that for your intern. And then we have some earning hours. So, like Mark said, summer opportunities. A lot of our students take advantage of our summer opportunities or summer opportunities that are given to them. And we have them here all linked. And if you press there, there'll be a list. I would say our students would highly recommend to do these summer opportunities just because we talk about hours all year round, and all of a sudden in January, they're like, oh, I have 4 months. It won't be a big deal to get hours. And then all of a sudden in March, they're like, oh my gosh, I need to get all my hours. What am I going to do? And the people who did summer hours are feeling less pressure because they already started in the summer. So I would say our seniors who are soon to be graduating would recommend summer hours. Not necessary for you all, but recommended. You can do informational interviews, job shadows. Mark said, I took this class and I did too. I did a lot of job shadows and it was wonderful. Conferences, workshops. The amazing thing about being in a major city is Minneapolis is always booming with a bunch of conferences from all different industries, and you can go. We always tell our students to use the excuse, I'm a high schooler, because so many doors are going to open for you. They'll be like, yeah, of course, no need to pay, or just come in. They love helping out high schoolers, so use that to your advantage. Internships pre-arranged and pre-approved by Mark and I, and those are individual, not group internships. And all these things, they're not with mom and dad. They could be with your company, or they can be with someone you know. They can be with a coworker, but we ask that is not with parents.
Let me mention a couple things about that summer opportunities piece. I'm not clicking on them in this slideshow because honestly, I don't quite know what's going to happen to this to the sharing. If I click outside, I'm not sure if I know how to get back in. So that's why I've shared. That's why the slide deck has been shared with you in the chat. And again, I did share that about 10 minutes ago, and I'll go back and I'll jump in. And I'll share that again. A couple of things I'm just going to mention about this as we get into to talk some specifics about the internship. the actual intern credit itself. So during that second semester, that period 3 or 4, the question a lot of times is, well, what do I do during that time? Well, first off, it is hybrid. So we don't typically meet like a regular class. You have that ability. It's almost like a placeholder in your schedule. So it'll say in your schedule intern, it'll say senior intern or just intern. And so you have a few different options that you can do. And we have kind of listed a handful of different things here. The work can be completed anywhere. We have students that go home and do it. We have students that get to go to the media center and do some work. We have some students that come to the classroom and actually ask us questions and do some work. But you can go to the classroom, or wherever you're doing it, excuse me, you can continue some research on some opportunities, information interviews, job shadows, internships. We have online certification links that we provide to students. We have micro internship opportunities that we're going to talk a little bit about later on. Again, conferences, workshops. This is a placeholder in your schedule because it allows you time in your day if you need to complete, if you need time to actually complete these things. That's why we give it to you. A lot of students that sign up for the senior intern program, they end up being pretty involved. I know I saw people who were here. We have some people who play sports. You play football, you play basketball, you're in music, you're in swim, you're in dance. People, or maybe you have a job outside of school. Well, we give you this time during that second semester specifically so you can hone in and hopefully get some hours during that time. And you have the whole second semester to do that. So we wanted to share that information with you as well. Um,
And really quick, something to add on that too. We know students are so busy, and we have students that are working all over, and we have students who work at Lifetime. And although we love your Lifetime job, that is not a way to get hours. You really have to push yourself to find those professional experiences. Hopefully, in something that interests you, or if you're still searching for what interests you, that'll look a little different. But Lifetime, not your lifetime job at the child care center, does not count as professional internship hours. Now, if you were to shadow managers one day at work, that would count, but that would be pre-approved by us. And I can share the link again. And I'll share the link again. And then that summer opportunity list, those are paid for by the student. We do not cover those costs. There's a lot of different ways you can go about getting aid through some of those programs, but those are for the student and the family to decide if they want to do that. But if they want to do internships, or sorry, informational interviews and job shadows, you can do that in the summer too.
And on that summer opportunities, there are a bunch of opportunities that do not cost any money either.
Mhm.
And if you really want to get, let's say if there's a student out there or a parent of a student who's looking to sign up, and if you really do want to get a jump start on some hours and do some different things in the summertime, find a time to come in. I have more flexibility in the afternoon in my schedule. Miss Hari right now is teaching a full schedule. And so I have some more availability first period, third and fourth to be able to meet with some students right now, to come to help provide some, we can go through this list. We can look at what are some other opportunities in some career areas that you have. So we really want to be there for you before the end of the school year if those people if anyone has questions. If you end up doing some kind of a summer opportunity, the next 3 slides, I'm just going to quickly highlight them because I want to make sure I take some time to highlight the pre-arranged internship opportunities that we have. So if you think that you want to go in, this slide talks about how to verify information for summer camps and conferences. You see there, you need to get, printed agendas. There's a time log. We give you a link for a time log there. If you're going to do an information interview or a job shadow over the summertime, I would say most students don't do the informational job shadows over the summertime because they may not be quite as confident to do it yet. And because that's what the class is really for. But if you feel like, hey, I feel pretty confident, I want to start doing this now, you certainly can. You just would need to refer to this slide to figure out what do I specifically need to do. And you can see the research and questions. They should be submitted to Miss Hari or myself that we know that you've done the research about your opportunity beforehand. Thank you note time log again. And if you want to set up your own, if you have a connection with someone and said, listen, I already talked to someone and they agreed to take me on as an intern. That's fantastic. Okay. So, but what we do ask is we have a training plan, like a training plan, training agreement that needs to be completed before you start. The whole purpose of this is we want to make sure that you're getting a viable experience out of this, and you're just not going into a business and you're going into your neighbor's business and you're helping file papers, right? And so that's not much of an internship. That could be a part-time job, right? But that's not much of an internship of learning about. Now, can there be some filing as part of an internship? Sure. But the entire thing shouldn't just be about that. It's like, what different things can you do to help learn about a career? And so there's more information on this right here. All right, so here is where we jump into the meat of it. And I apologize, we may go about 5 minutes over or so with our 7:30 time frame. And again, I am going to stick around. And as Miss Hari had mentioned earlier on, she has a couple young kiddos. Mine are not so young anymore. So she has a couple young kiddos that she would probably sign off at the very end so she can get them to bed. And I'm going to stick on for 15 minutes or so to answer some questions for anyone if they have them. All right, so if you're gonna, the next two slides are about the pre-range internships that we have and that we have at this point. The thing I'll mention right away is you really can apply for a maximum of three. The reason we say that is because let's say you want to be someone who wants to do marketing, and right now we have 7 or 8 different marketing opportunities available to you. We don't want you applying to all 8 opportunities, right? Because then that really weeds it down and it makes it harder for other people to be able to get in. So we really want you to look at these opportunities and figure out which ones that you think that you would like to, that you really want to put yourself into, right? So if you want to apply for any of these, and if you want help preparing a video, because each of the applications requires, and I will show you the links in a few minutes. Each of the applications or the job opportunities requires a video to be done. And to basically, that's how you're applying is you're creating a video, you're answering like 4 or 5 different questions, and then you're going to be interviewing for the job. And you're going to be doing that, I think the week of like May 19th or something like that. If you want help with the video, if you want help preparing for an interview because you've never interviewed for a job before or for any kind of for anything, please let Miss Hari or I know, and we want to help. We want to help you so you feel more confident going into this situation. All the different videos that you do, you're going to email them all to me. I'm going to get them then forwarded off to someone else. You just have to make sure you let me know what job that you're applying for. So if you just send me an email from your student number and it just has a link in there, for a video, I don't know what your name is because it's your school ID and you haven't identified what different position you're applying for. So you need to make sure you think about that a little bit. The deadline is going to be Sunday, May 11th. So you've got about a week and a half to kind of figure out which ones do you want to apply for, and then also get a video done and get that sent to me. The following week, then we're gonna get all the interviews kind of set. I'll be communicating with the businesses, or they may communicate with you. And the goal is to get you interviewed, start interviewing like the week of the May 19th or in that time, May 19th or May 25th, in that time frame. Okay, here we go, folks. This is it. These next two slides, these are the ones that are pre-arranged. And I want to mention a couple of things there. One thing specifically that Rachel said at the very beginning. She said that we have students in here from all different types of careers. Keep in mind that these are some businesses that have actually reached out to us or that we have reached out to certain places about doing some prearranged things. Some of them you see have more hours than others do. And the Bright Star Care, that's you doing office management in a healthcare in a long-term healthcare facility, this is basically like a part-time job, but it would actually, since it's in the healthcare industry and it's about helping manage an office and working with different people in the healthcare, that counts for your intern hours. If you are interested in event planning, you can see event planning with the college and career fair are two separate opportunities, but it's kind of combined into one internship for 4 different interns. If you want to help learning about managing certain things, managing events and communicating and networking, the EPAM Rotary is a nice opportunity for you. That actually requires you every 2 weeks to go to Rotary meetings that run from like 7:30 until like 8:45. So or 8:30. So if you do being part of the EPAM Rotary, you actually every couple of weeks you end up being about 10 or 15 minutes late to first period. isn't a big deal, then when you have the senior intern first period, but if it's something else, you just want to make sure you talk with your teacher about that. Um, and then you see the EP chambers there. And I'm just going to mention this right now. From the very bottom of the screen, you can see where it says the black text. So the opportunities that are in black, those are the ones that have spring interviews, and the application is due Sunday, May 11th. The ones in red, those are ones that we will interview for in the fall or later in the year. So the EP Chamber and Grace Church. And so there are no links to that right now because there's nothing to apply for. Um, but you can see they both of them have between 10 and 20 hours. Right now, the EPHS boosters group is looking for someone to help them with their website. And so there's a website management. Discovery of Pathways is a district-wide opportunity. But if you're interested in doing things with communications, that would be a great opportunity for you. And I think I have one intern there. I think that actually may be two different interns that they're looking at for that. The students on commission. This it says community engagement. So if you really want to do certain things within your community in different areas, and this could be in aviation, or if you want to be civic minded and work and be you're really this is about you spending time on a city committee and like on a city committee to help with the planning and being like a student representative. So those of you who are thinking political science, you could look at a couple of those different opportunities, which would be fantastic. The last one on there is in gray, and it's not in red because that actually is for term 3. During term 3, we have many different micro internships with a wide variety of careers that we provide for students. So we have groups of, let's say, 3 students, and that they work with a mentor at a local business. And so they actually do work together in that small group in the actual classroom at school. And like once a week or once every 2 weeks, they communicate with the mentor. So that's an additional 25 to 30 hours. So this year we probably had, oh, I don't know, maybe 25 or about 25 students or so do that. And we had a total of about 25 or 30, and we had 90 students that signed up for the whole program itself. So about a third of the students took advantage of the micro internships during that term 3 because it gave them an opportunity to learn more about us. Like, they could actually complete like a project that they have with a business. So these are some of the non-marketing related opportunities. And the next slide gets into more marketing ones, but I want to reiterate again, just because I'm sure that we will have some people that ask the question later on. You do not see something on here right now that says engineering. It doesn't say specifically healthcare. If it doesn't say your career, we want to help you with that. But we are also going to be having meetings before the end of the school year and over the summertime, right? We'll be doing some meetings with other kind of businesses looking for additional opportunities. And that includes engineering, healthcare. There may be things in education, digital arts, marketing. So really, we're trying to find a lot of different opportunities. But keeping in mind, we are not here to provide all of the 60 hours for you because we want you to be vested and we want you to work hard. We want you to use your network so you can figure out how you can actually accumulate some of these hours. But we try to give you a lending hand in the way. And Rachel will talk a little bit more about some of the marketing ones.
Yes. And for these, we have the business and marketing department. It's awesome, not just because I'm in the business and marketing department, but we have 2 interns for that. The Eden Prairie Boosters has 2 interns, MNPQC, social media, 3 interns. Opal Upcycle, that's a paid one, which we love paid. The senior party is wonderful. Well, all of these are wonderful, but the senior party, another local one that you can meet and help plan and market the senior party, which I highly recommend everyone sign up for. EPHS Sports social media interns, they do a wonderful job, and that there's the sports listed here. And if you play that sport, that does not mean you cannot have this internship. We had a girls hockey player work with the girls hockey team, and we had a girls basketball player work with the girls basketball team. But we've also had people who are not on the baseball team work with the baseball team. So you can be on that sports team or you don't have to, and you can get hours in that social media, pictures, posts, those kind of things. Now, you wouldn't get hours for going to practice, but anything you did for posts and social media, that counts. And we can schedule meetings for other possible and variety of internships, like Mark said before. And those micro internships are such a wonderful way. We have companies come to us and say, I have this project. Do you have interns? And we say, yeah, sure. One year we had a lot of students interested in nutrition. And we worked with this nutrition science company, and they had pea protein, and these students had to make recipes with this pea protein, and it was really exciting for them. They loved it. So again, we have a wide variety of industries. Mark and I would love to put students in surgeries and observe. That doesn't happen as much. So that's why we include those HIPAA trainings or other things like that. We did have some micro internships with chiropractors, and that was wonderful. So again, industry, and we find ways to kind of work, but we also want the students to be vested in because your network is so big too. And so asking people for those opportunities is wonderful also.
The one thing that MNPQC folks, and there just wasn't enough space for me to write the whole thing out. That's the Minnesota Perinatal Association. And so that if that's so it's a healthcare company with a perinatal, and so it's actually working in that industry, doing some social media with them. Um,
Mhm.
and I love the fact that Rachel talked a little bit more about the fact that we have all these different other types of opportunities too. These next two slides, we kind of threw these in there because sometimes people aren't quite sure what professionalism means. You were going to have in the senior seminar class itself, you have many opportunities to actually dress professionally. So I put this out there for you because there's different interpretations of what professionalism means. And students, this is kind of more for you. These are what professional shoes look like. If you are going to dress in business casual, or if you're going to dress up in a suit or a blazer or something, this is what professional shoes look like. This is not what professional shoes look like. So this was a couple years ago, as we weren't very specific about what different things were how they should dress with their shoes, and I was mortified to find that there was, I don't know, this must have been a huge trend, this to wear dirty white tennis shoes. With the different black suits and things of that nature. So it was amazing how many students were doing it. And so we want to put this in front of you to see, like, okay, this is a time that you can start thinking. If you know that you want to do the senior intern program, there is going to be some professional attire that you're going to have for this, whether it's a shirt and a tie and some dress pants. If it's some dress shoes, some of you may do a suit or maybe a blazer. If they're and so you can start looking now. You can start looking in August or in July or back to school time. So there will be many opportunities to dress professionally and to have business casual as well. But I also want to mention because this is there's always some situations where people are in different kind of financial need. And Rachel had mentioned this before. There are different areas, and I know that's a difficult maybe conversation to have or an email to have. But you would not be the first one. If that's your situation, to be able to reach out to say, listen, because of certain situations, there are certain organizations that we can put you in touch with at the high school to be able to help with that. And Rachel is going to wrap this up with us a couple more slides, and then I will make myself available for some questions.
Yes, so I said at the beginning too, I graduated from Eden Prairie High School and I married someone who graduated from Eden Prairie High School. I feel like that's a very Minnesotan thing. And I took this program, my husband took this program, my brother-in-law took it, my sister-in-law took it, Mark said his son took it. Mark lives in the area, I live close, and we are very involved in the school. We love what we teach and we love what we just love this program so much. And so I want that to be known, like how passionate we are about this. And it's fun to have siblings of former students take our class. And we still talk to many students that have graduated from the program. And we see parents around the community too. And a parent stopped us. That's what this is. And she said, I wanted to let you know, I talked to my daughter. She's senior in college and she's about to graduate. And I said, hey, like, you're out of high school, you're almost out of college. Tell me, like, was the program worth it? And she said, it is the single class at EPHS that I learned the most in. I was the only person on my freshman year who knew how to make a resume. It is the class that is most applicable to picking a major and finding a job. And it is information I still use today. My internship and senior intern was the first domino in a series of events that got me my job offer. And that's what we want. We want this to be so helpful. You're going to have to be at school anyway. Why not make a resume when you have to be at school, right? We'd rather have us help you when you're at school than you be at home freaking out before a job interview or things like that. You got to be at school. Let's make it well worth your time and help you get ready for your future the best way that we know how. So we're just so excited. And we want you to start planning, right? Get ahead of things if you can. Tell everyone that you're in the senior intern program, literally everyone, because they love to help high school students. The huge compliments that we get from professionals is, oh my gosh, you guys prepare them so well. I'm so excited for them to come in the workplace. The best one is, I think they could do my job, which we love. We've also got a lot of compliments saying they're way better than our interns. I can't believe this. They're amazing, which is all we love that. And oftentimes we send those compliments to the parents' way. So we can't wait to do that for you all next year. Here's this exit ticket that Mark was talking about. Students, please fill that out. Parents, we love you, but please have your student do it. That would be very helpful. You don't have to do it, but your student does. And then our next slide, and we'll probably post that exit ticket in the chat later, but this is our contact information. Mark and I share office at the high school. It's between 262 and 261. It's in the business hallway. Those are all our emails. We're open to all questions. I have to go because I have to put my two littles to bed, but Mark is going to stay on and answer questions. So I hope everyone has a good night.
Wonderful. Thank you, Rachel. All right, folks, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop sharing the presentation. And well, actually, I guess I can keep it here. And while I do this, though, I am going to copy this link, and I'm just going to go back to this last slide, and I'm going to open up the chat, and I'll send the link. This is the link for the exit ticket, I do believe. Exit tickets. Right. And so, all right. So I was, as Rachel was wrapping things up, I was looking for different things in the chat. So a couple different clarification things. First off, hey, thank you for taking time away from your Thursday evening to do this. Secondly, if you don't have any kind of questions, if you're like, I have all the information I need, you are free to sign off. If you want to stick on to hear what other kind of questions people ask, you certainly can stay on. If you wanna ask some questions, this is your opportunity to throw some things in the chat, and I'll be able to go through the chat and figure that out. So I want to go back to a question that someone had just for clarity on the intern credits, right? So that intern credit during the second semester. Someone basically asked if you have, if you complete all your hours, let's say, do you still have that intern credit? Do you have to come to class? And so just to clarify, because it did say hybrid, you do not report on a daily basis. So during that second semester, either period 3 or period 4, that time is yours, right? And so that is meant. And so then we touch base and communicate with you, just checking in. How are you doing? To make sure, just to make sure that you're making progress on your hours. But if you have completed those hours, well, then you have the greatest benefit of having a little bit extra time in your day because you actually put the time in earlier and then you earn that extra time. But that time is set aside for those that still need to work on those different kind of hours. So I hope that helps. The next question, um, is there more information about the arranged internships in terms of what they're about? Yes. And so if you on those slides, and I'll go back up here and see if I can't go backwards. So these two slides right here. I think everyone should have received a link for this slideshow. And there are links on the slideshow, the one that I'm showing right now in the sharing. The area in blue, if you click on that, that provides you information about it. And it also provides information about what to include with your video. And so you need to click on those links to get more information about it. We just don't have time in this to spend 5 minutes on each of the internship opportunities. So we just say a little bit about each, and then it's up to you to go in and to click and find out some more information. Let's see. And someone is asking about, do we need some volunteers for job interview training? What a wonderful question. We are so blessed to have such a wonderful network of previous students, previous parents, industry professionals who we've known for years. The senior intern program, we have over 202 or 225 different volunteers that help make it a success. And what we are happy about is we typically don't have to reach out to parents a lot to get volunteers, but there are certain opportunities, such as more so like the networking breakfast, or we actually may reach out for if we had a couple cancellations for information interviews, we may reach out and say, "Hey, parents, we're a couple people short for X opportunity." So we want your involvement with your child's class. And I know the networking breakfast, there will be those opportunities, but we also are sensitive to the fact that we like to have a variety of careers that are in there. And so if you do want to volunteer, if you think that you have some certain information that you think would be really beneficial for the class, would love to have a longer conversation about that. Such as this. If you think that, hey, I really think I have a pretty cool career that some students would love to learn from, I'd love for you to be able to reach out to me, to reach out to myself or Miss Hari, then we can kind of keep that in a database and say, okay, if we have someone that has this kind of career, we want to, that's a way for them to do that. We do teach certain things about networking in the class. And so we actually have some students do networking with each other while they're there as well. Next question. What all information needs to be in the video application? All right, so if you click on each of the blue links at the bottom of that, I do believe it says where the application is, and it says a video, and then there's like 4 or 5 different bullet points or numbers, and it actually lists some different topics that you should include in the video. If you click on one of them and for some reason it doesn't list those details, go back and try to see if you can click on a different link to see if, because it's the same, it's basically it's the same exact details in most of these. Why do you think you're qualified? Talk about your experience, things of that nature. So if you click on those links, you should be able to find that information. Someone asked, if you set up an internship, do I just email you about what I'm doing? Yeah. So if you go back, and I'm going to click back up here, right here on this slide, on this slide that I'm showing on the screen right now, the person that just asked that question. This is the slide you want to refer to. So verifying student arranged internship. So there's a training plan that you'd want to have completed. And with your with the professionals information on there, so then we would connect with them as well. And so that would need to be done before you actually start the internship, just to make sure that what you're doing would qualify as intern hours. And then you can see there's some time logs. And Ethan, if you want to talk a little bit more about that, if this doesn't quite make a lot of sense, just swing by 261 at some point, and then you and I can talk a little bit more about that. Excuse me. All right, there's a question about the CNA course. There's a CNA course at Hennepin Tech. She would miss either first, second hour. So the only opportunity that we have for the senior seminar is the first semester during period 1 or 2. It isn't taught later in the day, and it's not taught during a different time of the year. So what I would recommend is I would recommend touching base with a counselor about that question, because I don't know as much about the CNA program and what the schedule is for HTC, but I bet a counselor would know that. And so reach out as soon as you can with a counselor to see ask those kind of questions of how is it possible to do both, or do you have to make a choice? All right, I know it is 7:42. There are some people that are still online. I'm happy to stay on here. There's another question here. Does the curriculum also look at new AI tools available to help draft your resume? Man, look at you. We do use AI in the class, and we use AI for creating creating cover letters. We use AI for doing certain kind of interviews. We use AI for certain parts of our research. And we are going to start using some AI with some of the resumes, but we're not going to use AI to create your resume, because we want you to be able to understand we're also teaching some simple formatting things in Microsoft Word. There are some things that AI is amazing for, and I think that There are a lot of businesses that are using AI with their resumes, but what they're doing is they're using AI to read the resumes. And so we'll be talking about how businesses are using AI to do that. But we will help you use AI to create some of the content on your resume, and then you will then put that into a nice, fancy, very professional, high-end resume. So hopefully that answered your question. All right, we still have about 15 or so people that are on. We have I am happy to stay on for just a few more minutes to answer any last questions. Um, and if you still have a question and you're laying in bed tonight, and if you remember a question that comes up, please remember that you can just certainly email Miss Hari or myself. And if you have a longer question, you can do an email and say, hey, can we just actually talk on the phone? We'd be happy to do that as well. Okay, so um, this doesn't look like anyone else is throwing something in the chat, and so I am going to start wrapping it up. And again, yes, and so the one last question came through. It said 60 hours is required. Yes, 60 hours are required. And I don't remember if we mentioned this or not. It actually ends up being about 50, because you actually start accumulating those hours. You accumulate about 10 hours during the first semester for the senior intern program. So technically it's 60, but we help you with 50. And then so you really have to get to the 50, outside of that senior intern program class. So yeah, technically 60, but it's 50. Listen, there's a question here about nutrition. And are there more interviews available later? Are those mostly for all the options? You know what? That may be an opportunity that comes up that we actually put available for students either in the fall, or we come up with a micro internship about nutrition. At this time, we don't have a separate internship piece. And here's the other challenge. And so I'll go back and I'll just mention this really simply. When it says the senior intern program, my goal is really is for students to learn how to be an intern. This doesn't mean that every single student who takes this class is going to get an internship, because let's say next year we have about 130 students who are signing up for this, and to have actually 130 internships that are done, it's a pretty lofty goal. So, but we're really trying to teach you how to be an intern, and some of you will have the opportunity to work with some businesses. But some of them are going to be provided by us, and others are going to be provided by you. So, but there are many more opportunities that come out during that micro internship during term 3, which would be held during your actual class time. Lillian, yes, let's touch base tomorrow about that question. All right, folks. Again, I have to sign off here. I have actually my son who's living in Cleveland he's been wanting to get a hold of me for a little bit, and so we're going to touch base yet tonight. So email Miss Hari any more kind of questions you have. I'm recording this, and so I may send out the recording. I may send out the actual link again because we had some people that have sports and they weren't able to make both of them. So thank you for being here. Have a wonderful night. And let me know what kind of questions you have. And hopefully we will see you next year in the senior intern program. Thank you. Have a good night.